Dusek, senior writer with Golfweek magazine. I'm joined today by Chris Tootin from Titleist. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Thank you.
Chris did not win the FedEx St. Jude Classic, but Ben Crane, another Titleist staff player, did. And Chris, I understand that from what you were telling me earlier, there were some modifications and some tweaks that were done to Ben's equipment before the start of that tournament. What can you tell me about what you guys did? It sounds like with his driver.
Well, his driver, he felt like he was getting a little too much spin out of his driver, and he was in a D1 setting. So we kind of went around his settings a little bit. We went around from D1 to A1, and then we went down to B1 and C1. And what we found out is C1 gave him his optimal numbers. His launch was about 13. His spin rates were about 2,300, and it fit exactly what he was looking for.
So a couple things here. That 13 that Chris is referring to is your launch angle, and then 2,300, I believe you said, is the spin rate that you're essentially creating. Now, you're referring to C1 and D1. Titleist's drivers, the 913 D2 and 913 D3, have an adjustable hosel system. What kinds of things, when you're adjusting and modifying that, can you change as you're changing those settings? What are you changing as far as what it does to the driver?
Well, our SureFit hosel allows us to have independent ability to change loft and lie at the same time, which is a very unique ability to have in fitting. And we can go from a standard lie and be able to change lofts on a variety of different lies, and keeping the lie the same and changing the loft. So as well, we are able to lower the loft and do the same thing. So with Ben, we went to the most flat setting. Because Ben is he's a little shorter guy. He has his hands a little bit lower, and we went to the most open setting, and it produced optimal numbers.
Gotcha. How often, when you're working with guys like Adam Scott or Jason Duffner, in this case Ben Crane, do you find yourself taking their driver that they've had for a while and making adjustment changes to it with that system?
Not too often. Usually when they're fit into their driver originally, they're usually set to go. Occasionally you might have somebody get a backup driver that comes in and it doesn't look quite like the other one did, so we might do a slight face change in terms of being a little bit more open or being more square. But normally once we get a player fit in, they're good to go. Ben has had some issues with his back and has been modifying his golf swing. So we had to make a change based on the modification of his golf swing to get the numbers where we needed for the driver.
Here's a complete list of golf clubs that Ben Crane used to win the FedEx St. Jude Classic. His driver was a Titleist 913 D2, 9.5 degrees of loft, and a Mitsubishi Rayon Bassara 50X shaft. His fairway woods were a tailor-made Rocketball Stage 2 with 14.5 degrees of loft, and a Mitsubishi Rayon Diamante Whiteboard plus 72X shaft, along with a Titleist 913 FD with 18 degrees of loft and a Mitsubishi Rayon Diamante Whiteboard plus 82X shaft. His hybrid is a Titleist 910H with 21 degrees of loft and a UST Mamiya Proforce AxivCore hybrid 100X shaft. His irons are Titleist 712U 4-iron along with 714 AP2 5-9 irons, and those had Aerotech SteelFiber I-95 shafts. His wedges are a Titleist Vokey Design SM4 48 degree with that Aerotech SteelFiber I-95 shaft, along with a 56 and a 60 degree, and those had True Temper Dynamic Gold S400 shafts. His putter is an Odyssey White Hot number 5, and his golf ball is a Titleist Pro V1X.
Some really inside information here from Chris Tootin at Titleist, and thank you very much for joining me inside the winner's circle here at the U.S. Open. We'll look forward to seeing you next week.